It was supposed to be the happiest week of my life. I had the ring. I had the suit. I had practiced my vows until they echoed in my head, even when I slept. After 2 years of dating, 6 months of planning, and one ridiculously stressful rehearsal dinner, I was finally about to marry Alyssa Bennett, the woman I had crossed the country for, the woman who made Sunday mornings feel like heaven and Monday nights feel like adventure. Everything was perfect, until her dad asked to have a word. We were sitting on the patio of their suburban Virginia home. Her father, George Bennett, a stern, clean-cut man who reminded me more of a corporate merchant than a person, slid an envelope across the table. "What's this?" I asked, already suspicious. "Just a little agreement," he said, sipping his sweet tea like we were talking about the weather. "We'd like you to sign the house over to us." I blinked. "You mean Alyssa's moving in with me after the wedding? The house is in my name. Why would I sign it over to you?" He cleared his throat. "Because it's the right thing to do. You're marrying our daughter. You'll be part of our family. It's a sign of trust and respect." I stared at him. A sign of trust is asking someone to hand over their home? He didn't flinch. "If you don't sign the house to my wife and me, the wedding is off." I laughed at first, thought it was some old-fashioned test, but his face didn't change. And then, to my horror, Alyssa came outside and stood behind him, arms crossed. She wasn't laughing either. "Is this serious?" I asked her. She looked away. "My parents just want some security. I told you from the start, I'm close with my family. They've always protected me." "This isn't protection," I said, voice shaking. "It's control." Silence. I looked between her and her father. "So what is it? The house or the wedding?" Alyssa hesitated. And in that pause, I got my answer. I walked away that night. It didn't matter that the flowers were ordered or that guests had flown in from 3 states. It didn't matter that I loved her, because love isn't supposed to come with contracts. The house still sits on a quiet street just outside D.C., warm and full of light. I still make coffee there every morning. Still sit on the porch with my dog. Alone, but free. The first few days after I called off the wedding were a blur. My phone didn't stop ringing. Calls from her friends, her mom, even the pastor. Most went unanswered. Some left voicemails full of guilt trips and veiled threats. A few were kind, offering support or asking if I was okay. But not Alyssa. She didn't call. Not once. By day 4, the florist refused to refund the flowers. The caterer kept the deposit. And I sat in my kitchen with 2 untouched suits hanging in the closet and a fridge full of hors d'oeuvres I didn't even like. The worst part? I missed her. Still do. Sometimes. Not the version of her from that night, standing behind her father like a shadow, but the one who used to dance barefoot in the kitchen while I made pancakes. The one who left sticky notes in my car just to say, "You've got this." That Alyssa, the real one, if that was ever her. But then I remembered something my grandfather once told me. If love comes with a receipt, it's not love, it's a transaction. Weeks passed, then months. Life settled into a new rhythm. I started working out again, focused more on my small design firm, and began volunteering at a local community center. I even went on a few dates, though nothing serious. Just enough to remind myself that not every woman comes with strings attached to her parents' bank account. Then one rainy afternoon, I saw her at a bookstore in Georgetown. Hair shorter, face thinner. Alone. She noticed me, hesitated, then walked over. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey." There was a pause. Thick, quiet, like the calm before a thunderstorm. "I wanted to call," she finally said, "but I figured I didn't have the right." "You did?" I said honestly, but I didn't know if I wanted to hear what you had to say. She nodded, eyes wet. "They pushed me. I didn't agree with what they did, but I didn't stop them either." "You stood there," I said. "That was enough." She bit her lip. I thought, if I just went along with it, we could fix things later, that you'd forgive it. That love was enough. I shook my head. Love doesn't make ultimatums. That wasn't just a signature on a deed. Alyssa, that was about trust. And you didn't have mine anymore. She looked away, nodding. "I get it. I do." I wanted to be angry, wanted to yell, or ask why I wasn't worth standing up for. But all I felt was tired. So I smiled gently but firmly. I wish you the best, Alyssa. I really do. She smiled too, through tears. Take care of that house. It's lucky to have you. I watched her walk out of the store and into the drizzle. No drama, no second chance, just closure. And as the door chimed shut behind her, I realized something. I didn't lose a wedding. I kept my dignity. And maybe someday I'd find a kind of love that didn't come with conditions. But for now, I went home, sat on the porch, watched the rain, and felt, for the first time in months, completely at peace. That night, the rain didn't let up. It drummed against the windows like a slow heartbeat, steady and soft, like the rhythm of something new. I poured myself a whiskey, 2 fingers, no ice, and sat by the fireplace with the dog curled at my feet. I wasn't sure if I felt relief or grief, or some strange blend of both, but I knew one thing for sure. I'd pass a test, not just of love, but of self-respect, of knowing where I ended and someone else's demands began. People talk about heartbreak like it's this big dramatic thing, a thunderclap, a scream, a shattered glass moment. But the real pain? It's quiet. It's in the subtle spaces. Making coffee for one. Folding laundry that smells like no one but you. Relearning how to be alone, not because you want to, but because someone made you choose. Still, the world didn't end. I didn't fall apart. I healed, bit by bit, like a cracked ceiling in glass. 2 months later, I met someone. Her name was Camille. She was a project manager for a local arts nonprofit, with a wry sense of humor and a laugh that could turn a bad day into a memory. We met at a home renovation expo, both stuck in line for overpriced coffee and laughing about the absurd price of a rustic, sliding barn door. What started as small talk turned into dinner, then weekend hikes, then staying up way too late on our couch, talking about everything from 90s sitcoms to our worst heartbreaks. And you know what? She never once asked what I owned, never cared what the house was worth or how many bedrooms it had. She liked the garden out back. She liked the little reading nook I built under the stairs. She liked me, for me, one evening. As we watched the sun set over the backyard, she turned to me and said, "This place feels like home." I smiled. "It is." She rested her head on my shoulder. "Who built it?" "I did. Every inch," I said, and I almost gave away for the wrong reasons. She looked up at me, curious. I hadn't told her much about Alyssa. "Not yet. I'll tell you someday," I said, "but not tonight." She nodded, no pressure, just presence. And so life moved forward. I kept the house, not as a prize, but as a symbol of standing my ground, of choosing peace over pressure, of knowing that love, real love, doesn't come with contracts hidden in envelopes. Sometimes, I still get invitations in the mail from people I haven't spoken to in years. Weddings, engagement parties, birth announcements. The world keeps spinning. But I never forget the lesson I learned on what was almost my wedding day. The right person will never ask you to give up a part of yourself just to earn their love. And the home you build with the right one, it's never just 4 walls and a roof. It's trust. It's laughter. It's freedom. It's the heart. Finally safe. It had been almost a year since the canceled wedding. Things with Camille were steady. We weren't rushing. We didn't talk about marriage. Not yet. We were just living, laughing, building, healing. Then one crisp autumn morning, something strange happened. I opened my mailbox and found an envelope with no return address. The handwriting was familiar in a way that made my stomach knot. It was from Alyssa. I sat on the porch, heart pounding, and opened it. "Eli, I know this might be crossing a line, but I need to tell you something. Something I couldn't say that night. Something I wasn't allowed to say. You were right not to sign the house over. You were right to walk away. But you never knew why my father wanted it. It wasn't about protection. He was in deep financial trouble, gambling debts, back taxes. He needed a clean asset and a clean name, yours. The plan was to get the house, then file for a quiet transfer later. He was using me to get to you. I didn't know all the details until after you left, but I knew enough, and I stayed silent. I told myself I was doing it for family, that I could protect you somehow. But really, I was afraid of losing both of you. And in the end, I lost the only one who truly cared for me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know it wasn't about greed or power. It was desperation. Ugly, shameful desperation. I hope you found someone who makes you feel safe and loved and never has to write you a letter like this. Asterisk. I read it twice, then a third time. And just like that, everything rewound in my head. Her hesitation, the way she stood behind her father, the quiet panic in her eyes. I hadn't seen it then. I was too hurt, too angry. But now I saw it all. It didn't change what happened, didn't undo the betrayal, but it reframed it. She wasn't just part of the scheme. She was trapped in it. I folded the letter and tucked it into the back of my desk drawer, not out of bitterness, but because it was part of the story now. My story. Later that night, Camille noticed I was quiet. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, just remembering the past. It knocked on the door today. She didn't pry. She just slid her hand into mine. As long as it doesn't want to move in. I smiled. It doesn't. I just needed to answer it. The past doesn't always disappear clean. Sometimes it circles back in the form of a letter. Sometimes it says sorry too late. And sometimes, just sometimes, you realize the story wasn't as simple as you thought. But that's okay, because the future was sitting beside me, hand in mine, asking nothing more than to be present. And this time I was ready. For love, for peace, for a home built not on compromise, but on truth,